Hello, this is take two because I tried doing this before and I got interrupted. So you have missed a little bit, but I'm going to go back and explain. So I am going to make the red velvet cupcakes, seeing as they seem to be in fashion or in mode or whatever at the moment. And I thought I'd give them a try. I also like making things just so I can pop in the freezer and just pull something out if we just want something little. So, but what I was actually demonstrating before, which has all been cut off, and I'm no good at editing, was I had to make in the recipe, I'll find you the recipe again. Let me see if I can grab that. Hold on. Okay, about to find the recipe for you. Okay, so this is the picky. That's what I'm going to make. Magnolia Kitchen red velvet cakes with a vanilla cream icing. Cream cheese icing. I've got my words are all mixed up this morning. Anyway, I was looking through here. Always good to read your recipe first. I needed 150 grams of caster sugar. Now I always go a little bit under than that anyway. So I think I got about 120. And I needed 50 grams of icing sugar. Always good to check that out first, all right? Because I've just got raw sugar in the cupboard. I don't have icing sugar. I don't have caster sugar. If I do have two bowls, so I could actually make it in between, but I thought for a lot of people don't have two bowls. So the way to do it is read the recipe first, make each of those sugars. So I have made, it's a sort of mixture between caster and icing sugar, 4 seconds speed 10, my caster sugar, and 10 seconds speed 10 is my icing sugar. So that was really what I was talking about before. But the other thing in conjunction with that was when you're making things like that, or you're milling nuts, almonds, whatever you're going to mill, you need to have a super dry bowl. And the way I do that is I turbo. So save the recipe there, swipe across. This is what you do. You go into here, you go turbo. Just a reminder with turbo, you need to get out of it before it will actually release the lid. So go back into here. I don't think that's going to have done much at all. But if my bowl, that's just because I've made the sugar in it already, okay? But if my bowl was slightly damp at all, if it was around my blades, then turbo pushes all that water, spits it out onto the side of the bowl and makes it really easy to dry. So I usually do that a couple of times. I want to make sure I've got a super dry bowl. Okay, so that's your tip. Now, let's go back to the beginning of the recipe. All right, this is it. Magnolia Kitchen, red velvet cakes with vanilla cream cheese icing. Start cooking. Oven's heating. It says a 12-hole silicone mini loaf tray. Now, you know, I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing, this isn't fancy. This is going to be my everyday little mini muffins. Now, I have to put a jug on the lids. And what I've actually done is I have a jar here, which I froze buttermilk in 100-gram lots. Now, I meant to have 120 grams, but I've just added a little bit of water, okay? So, place a jug. It's my 120 grams of buttermilk, okay? So I'm assuming that that is there. All right, so anyway, that's in there. Half a teaspoon of red food colouring. Grab that, and 1 egg. Okay, so that's going in there. And 1 egg. So you can see I actually froze my buttermilk in a jar. I had there's plenty of space. So you can use jars to freeze things. You've just got to leave a bit of space in there so it doesn't crack. All right, and it says to actually combine that over 4. Oh my goodness, that is red. That is red. You can see how red, oh, it looks orange on there, but it's a really red. Okay. Clean that off. All right. set aside. Next, 150 grams of plain flour. Now, this is a gluten-free flour. I have bought it from the supermarket because I'm being a little bit lazy. But there you go. Gluten-free plain flour. $150 grams of caster sugar, as I said, made this 4-second speed 10, and it's probably about 120 grams, I think. A little bit over. Now, if you are cutting back on the sugar, and I do find that a lot of the recipes you can cut back on the sugar, you must decrease by no more than 30%. All right, I did half on a cake, and it totally changed the texture of the cake. And my lovely friend Irene did a bit of research on it, and asked someone who knew about these things as well. And you can decrease by 30%, but no more. Cocoa. I have my cocoa, but I've got my cocoa here. Hallelujah. 65 grams of unsalted butter softened. It's been out of the fridge for a little while. Okay. I put my lid on. 5-second speed 4. Okay. So that really hasn't done an awful lot. It's just, it still looks like it's, you wouldn't even know the butter was in there actually. Right. Now it says add 100 grams of reserve buttermilk mixture. So I'm just going to pour this in. I'm so sorry that you can't see the colour. It's just amazing. Oops. Gone a bit over. And I'm dribbling red everywhere. Okay. All right. Next, measuring cup in, lid on, 5-second speed 4. Okay, that's really pulling it together. I'm actually, it doesn't tell me to scrape down the sides, but I'm going to. It's certainly a different type of cake, isn't it? I don't think we've ever done this before. Remaining buttermilk mixture. So that's going in. Lid on. 5-second speed 3. Says prolong if necessary. So I'm just going to have a look at it. Oh, that needs a bit more. Look at this. I am going to scrape down the sides now. I'm going to give it a little bit more. Wow. Very red in there. I'm going to go back. Okay, that looks better. 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. It's got my apple cider vinegar here. 1, 2. That's 1 teaspoon of bicarb soda. Frothing up in there. 10 seconds, speed 3. Pour into loaf tray and bake for 12 to 15 minutes. All right, well, I'm not doing the loaf tray, as you know. It's quite a hell of a mess tonight. Oh, yeah, look at that. Interesting. Smell the apple cider vinegar too. It's a beautiful texture though. Look at that. Gorgeous. So I'm going to pop that into my tray here. And I find I've got a little spatula that I particularly like. Wow. I'll tell you what, it looks like velvet. Not quite sure how many it's going to make, but we'll just keep going until we've got them all done. And then I'm going to bake them. And whilst they're baking, I'm going to make the icing. Obviously, won't let you don't have to hang around all that time whilst they're cooling down. But in fact, I can keep going with this afterwards. So let me just move all that out of the way. I'll just have to lick my fingers. Oh, I'll just have to lick my fingers there. It's good. Give them a quick wash. Well, just from that perspective, I would recommend, all right, I haven't even baked them yet. But what I'm going to do now is get that. Clean up my poor machine here. And I'm going to make the icing. So as I said, I do have a second bottle blade set. So I'll pull that out. We can keep going with the icing. Okay. So it's going to bake for 12 to 15 minutes. Set aside to cool. Now this is all to do with, because the next instructions are all to do with the shape. So it says carefully remove the cakes, place on a wire rack to cool completely, approximately 30 minutes. Once cooled, trim the cakes with a serrated knife to form a flat surface. Well, I'm not going to do the whole, well, I am going to ice them, but I'm really not worried about the flat surface. That's why I'm not a really good, amazing cake baker, I think. I can make a nice cake, but it's not super special to look at. It says, place the cake trimmings in a bowl and set aside. Clean and dry a mixing bowl. Place the bowl onto the lid and weigh in 150 grams of cream cheese. So this is for the icing. So I've got my cream cheese in here. These are some of the bowls from the mix shop. It's a set of 3 and they are fantastic. They've got a little pouring thing here, and they are non-slip, so they will stay there. They've got measurements down the side. They've got a great handle, and I'm very pleased with them. All right, so I've got my cream cheese. Set bowl aside. Place 150 grams of butter. Cut into pieces. All right. Here we go. And pop my lid on. Now it's 20 seconds on speed 4. So I think there's a lot of softening of the butter. Whilst it's doing that, I'm going to keep filling up my cupcakes. Break down the sides, and I've still got cake mixture all over here. I'll just give it a quick wash. All right, dry that off. Scrape down the sides. Show you what it looks like. There, so we're just literally creaming that butter. So scrape it down. Okay. Pop the lid on again. 40 seconds on speed 4. So again, I'm going to keep going, filling up these cupcakes. Okay, so I've got 12 done. Turn it round and okay. Oops. Still creaming here. Scrape down the sides. Okay. Another lot of creaming. Seriously, that's a lot of butter. 40 seconds on speed 3. More. Unbelievable. Here we are. But what I'm actually going to do is, so we're in the middle of the icing. It's asking me to do it again. But what I want to do is I want to get all the mixture off the glaze here. So I'm going to pop that on there. And I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to save my recipe. So I'm coming up to here. I'm going to go to turbo. And pinch the recipe. So that's again another way of just getting your blades nice and clean. So can you see there the difference? So what I'll be able to do whilst this is doing it again is great rest of that out. Got lids and bowls everywhere. 40 seconds on speed 3. Then I can scrape out a bit more of this. In case you don't know, you can just touch your screen and that will stop the noise. Next. All right. So here's our creamed butter. Turn speed selector to 4 whilst following the next step. Just adding the cream cheese, 1 piece at a time. Two pieces left. I'm trying to throw it onto the blades rather than onto the center of the blades. Here we go. Scrape down the sides. I'll move these out. So I've got that. I can probably scrape one more out. So I've got what, a dozen? I've got 18 mini muffins. Here we are. So I want me to scrape down the sides. So I'm going to do that. Oh, again, beautiful texture. It's really light and creamy. It's almost light cream. I just need the vanilla though, I can tell you after tasting that. And the sugar. Forgot about that. 50 grams of icing sugar. And it says natural vanilla extract, and then it also talks about something else to do with vanilla. So I've got the vanilla bean paste. So I'm just going to put, let's see what it says for the vanilla bean paste. Yeah, I'm going to put in about that much vanilla bean paste. I don't know if you've noticed, in the supermarket, you can get this in a jar or you can get this in plastic. So please get it in the jar. You can reuse a jar for something. And if you're not reusing it, it can be recycled. Not going to end up in landfill anyway. So that's great. Got that in. Lid on. 20 seconds, speed 3. Trying to get all the red off the bench. There's an awful lot of mixing in this icing. All right, so it's asking me to scrape down. You can see I've got a bit of icing sugar down the side here, so absolutely scrape that down. Go. And mix it again. 5 seconds. I'm going to have a little taste in the meantime. Tastes really good. It's a really, really light icing. All right, so that is it. I am going to pop these little cupcakes into the oven and let them bake. It says wait for check that the skewer comes out clean. Wait for 30 minutes for them to actually totally cool down and then put the icing on. Remember, in the recipe, it's doing little rectangles. It says you can cut them in half if you want to make them bite size. My little mini muffins are pretty much 2 bite size, I suppose. And what they're doing is smoothing off the top, like taking the top off with a serrated knife and piping on top of that. In fact, let's just have a quick look at that. So it's putting into actually, it's quite clever, except that I don't like the fact that it's a throwaway bag. Let's look at the video. So they put the bag over a cup and putting the icing in that way. Good way to keep it There you go. That's a great little video, actually. Ready to go. Wonderful. Pipe a swirl of icing on top of each mini cake, then sprinkle with the reserved crumbed cake trimmings. Remember that was if you were doing it the other way and you were trimming off the bits off the top. Yeah, so anyway, I think they look fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to it. The cake mixture is divine, and this icing is so light. Anyway, give them a go and let me know if you do. I'd love to see pictures. Thanks.